Well, hi guys. Coach Jerry here at the Protocol in Tucson, Arizona, and welcome to the September Mobility Warmup. We've got a lot going on this month. The classes are going to be doing a push-up program, a pull-up program, a press program, and a squat program. And if you're in one of our more advanced conditioning classes, there's also going to be a Turkish get-up program. So needless to say, there's a lot going on there with the shoulders. So we're going to be doing I figure the best thing to do for this month's warm-up would be to combine two of my favorite warm-ups. There's the Staley 3, specifically for the shoulders, and then we're going to be doing the Strong First, Simple and Sinister warm-up from the book that goes by the same name. So with that introduction out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. For the Staley 3, you're going to need one of these stretchy bands. So there's several different types, and it doesn't really matter too much which one you use. I prefer to use these guys here, which we have different resistances here at the gym. Some people like to use the TheraBands. If you're doing this at home, this may be the only thing that you've got. The TheraBands do work, but I don't like them for the Staley 3 because I don't think they have quite the resistance that you need. Also, doing the third exercise, the face pulls, is not ideal with a TheraBand. So regardless of which one you're using, go ahead and snag that band, and we'll go ahead and get started here. The first exercise is called the band pull apart. So if you're going to use one of these types of bands, I like to hold it with my thumbs and then externally rotate my wrists to make a little loop. What this allows you to do is, first of all, it makes it easier to hold on to, but also it lets you adjust the resistance. So the more I tighten it, it's going to give me a little bit more resistance as I move. I can open and give it a little bit more slack if I'd like to give less resistance. So the band pull apart is like so. The elbows are straight. The shoulders are packed, and you're going to pull the band apart so it goes right across your chest. When I'm doing that, I'm also trying to squeeze my shoulder blades together behind me. So I'll give you guys a couple of different viewpoints of this. We're going to be doing 10 of the band pull-aparts. The next one is called the band dislocates. So when we're going to do that same thing, little loop with the band. We're going to begin by having the band across our thighs, keeping the elbows straight and the shoulders unshrugged. We're going to come up and over and come behind us. And then it'll come back over and touch in the front. So from the side, it looks like so. And the idea is to keep the elbows totally straight and just enjoy that range of motion. If you have really, really, really healthy shoulders, this can also be done with a dowel rod. I prefer to use the band. I don't have the healthiest shoulders in the world, so this works just fine. And this is also going to be for 10 repetitions. The band dislocates. For the last exercise, we are going to need a place to attach our band. So I'm just going to use the bottom of one of these pull-up bars here. And these are called face pulls. So the way I describe the face pull is you are going to be rowing incorrectly. So we're going to start off with our elbows straight. Our thumbs are out like so. And from this position, you are going to try to pull your thumbs to your earlobes. I just realized those are not really my earlobes. My earlobes are farther down, but I think you guys get the picture. So each of the three drills that we just did is you're going to feel in slightly different parts of your shoulder. And this is also going to be for 10 repetitions. And that's the Staley 3. Now let's move on to part 2. For the next part of our warm-up, you're going to need a fairly light kettlebell and a foam roller. The first move that we're going to be doing from the Simple and Sinister warm-up is called the halo. For the halo, we're going to bring our kettlebell up and catch it upside down like so. I like to use my thumb and my first digit to hold the ball of the bell. Just makes it feel more stable. And we're going to slowly rotate the kettlebell around the head. Notice how the kettlebell is staying fairly close to my head and my elbows are moving quite a bit to produce that rotation. So we're going to do 10 in one direction and then 10 in the opposite direction. This is a really nice shoulder opener. Feels really good to do. The kettlebell halo. The next drill is the hip bridge. For the hip bridge, I like to use a foam roller. You can also use, you can take like a pair of shoes and just squish them together. That also works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this foam roller right in between my knees, but it's just above my knees. So it's kind of in the, where my thigh begins, the vastus medialis, for those of you who know your anatomy. And you're going to come down and lay down on your back. And you want to place that foam roller in a position, like I said, like above your knee, where I can isometrically squeeze into it. I'm going to lie down on the back. And it might take you a moment to figure out the ideal part for your feet, but keeping everything down like so, you're going to drive your hips up as high as you can while simultaneously putting an isometric squeeze on your foam roller. You're going to feel this in a variety of places. If you're either doing this in the morning fairly stiff, or even if you train after you get off work and you sit behind your desk, you're going to notice that your hip flexors are going to be fairly tight, and it may take you a couple of repetitions before you can really start to feel your hips open. Also, you want to make sure that when you come to the top, that you contract your glutes underneath here. So the hip bridge is going to be also for 10 repetitions. The last warm-up drill is the prying goblet squat. Now, if you watch that video that I made a little while back, I think it's called Everything You Need to Know About Squats in 20 Minutes, I talk about two different kinds of squats: squatting for mobility and squatting for strength. The prying goblet squat is a squat for mobility. With that being said, if the kettlebell does not provide you the necessary amount of counterweight, in other words, if your squat mobility is challenged, you don't have to necessarily use a kettlebell. This can be done holding on to something like a suspension trainer. In here we have the jungle gyms. You can also hang on to like a squat rack, anything that's secure that when you grab a hold of it, you don't, there's no risk of you pulling it off. So I'm going to be demonstrating it with the kettlebell, but again, use the thing that allows you to do this correctly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch the bell here in the goblet position, and I'm going to set my feet for a squat, and I'm just going to settle down into the bottom position. Now, my elbows are on the inside of my thighs, and there's a couple of drills that we're going to do down here. So this is the prying part. First thing I want to do is mobilize my ankles. I'm going to send my knee right over my two middle toes, and then do the same thing on the other side. Notice I'm not twisting, and I'm also not losing my knee and toe alignment. In other words, I'm not rotating like, ugh, yeah, that actually hurt to demonstrate. Don't do that. So I'm pushing the knee right over the two middle toes as I mobilize my ankles. The second thing that you can do is use your elbows to push your hips open. You'll get a nice stretch there through the groin and the adductors. You can also pull the kettlebell away from you and get the chest proud and pull it back in. So there's a variety of different prying drills that you can do here. Whichever one you do, whenever you're finished, we're going to come back up, so don't forget to repressurize the cabin, right? And we're going to come right back out of there. And we're going to be doing these for 5. Now, I spent a lot of time down here on that first one. I mean, you don't necessarily need to spend that much time, but, little ankle mobility, little hip work, a little bit of spine work there. This one is only for 5 repetitions. I think it might be helpful. I'm actually going to do one here from the side view, just so you guys can see what that looks like. So this is the knee over toe, the ankle mobility. The hip probably won't look like much from this angle, but let's show this one here. So when I pull the kettlebell away, I lift up my chest and pull it in. So hopefully you guys can see that. I also hope that my spine here is relatively neutral. I wouldn't be a very good demonstrator here if it wasn't. And that is the prying goblet squat. Before we wrap up this warm-up, I do want to show you guys one more drill that I use sometimes when I'm doing the prying goblet squat. This is a variation of it. This is not part of the Simple and Sinister curriculum. It's more part of the, those of you guys who follow Knees Over Toes guy on the internet. He has a lot of rehabilitation protocols to strengthen knees. My knees sometimes give me trouble, just depending on the weather and the day. One of the drills that I have done for a long time when my knees are bugging me is, it's called the Hindu squat. So I'll show it to you guys. You don't have to do it. It can be done instead of the prying goblet squat. Basically, we are going to do 2 rounds of this last warm-up, so you could do 1 round with the Hindu squat, 1 round with the prying goblet squat, whatever works best for you. The Hindu squat is a little bit different. I'm going to keep my feet, so I'm not going to externally rotate my feet at all. So I'm going to have my feet like they're in ski boots. When I come down, my heels are going to come up off the ground and my torso is going to stay almost completely upright. So this is the bottom position of the Hindu squat. Now, I'm just demonstrating this so you guys can see it. In real time, you won't be down here that long. I like to use my hands to just kind of do a little back sweep and stand back up. So the way this looks as you're doing repetitions, it looks like this. So this is a minimum hip bend, maximum knee bend. And if you do a lot of repetitions, you'll feel a burn through the thighs and you'll feel a lot of mobilization work through the knees. Not everyone's knees are healthy enough for Hindu squats, but if they are, it's an awesome rehabilitation tool to really strengthen up those joints. So that's optional. You can do the prying goblet squat. Either way, it works. And that, guys, is the warm-up for September. Thanks for following us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.